Welcome to StoryUp. This is a long-form space for honest conversations about stories. The ones we live inside, the ones we carry for years, and the ones that continue shaping us even after they become books. I'm Dr. Marina Rivera, founder of Full Circle Press. I work closely with authors at many stages of their story's life, before a story is written, while it's being shaped, and after it's released into the world. StoryUp exists because I believe that stories don't begin or end with a book. They shape how we see ourselves, how we make meaning, and how we move through the world, often long before they're written and long after they're shared. Here, I reflect on what it means to steward stories with care, responsibility, faith, and discernment, sometimes on my own and sometimes in conversations with authors whose stories are already out in the world. If you're holding a story that matters or living with the one that's still unfolding, you're in the right place. Hi, authors and aspiring authors. I am back, and today I want to talk about something that is a little bit more technical when it comes to writing, but that I do believe does have some universal appeal and application. So, I think that many first time authors actually start writing their book in the wrong place. And I think that this is because they assume that their first chapter is where the story begins, but often it isn't. And so, what usually happens is this: you sit down to write your book, and you might start at the earliest event. And so, whether we call this the origin story, or the background, or the setup, or the history, chronology feels logical, right? Because it's like, well, this is the first thing that happened. And so, this is the first thing that I will write about. But books are not meant to be timelines, they're meant to be journeys. And what I mean by this is oftentimes a journey for your reader is not going to begin at the point of origin or like where it started. It's going to begin at the point of tension because readers don't connect often with your backstory. They connect with your moment of change. And a lot of this applies to memoir writing, but again, I do think it has some application outside of that. So many readers are going to connect with you at the moment of the disruption or the question or the crisis or the decision point. And that's really where engagement, I believe, lives. And so, what I tell authors all the time is this. So, your first written chapter is rarely your first printed chapter. So, maybe you need to write the story from the first moment, from the backstory, from the origin. But writing often is as much about discovery as anything else. And so, you often need to write the early material for you to understand the story. But not all of that early material then belongs at the front of the book. Some of it belongs later, some of it belongs woven in throughout your story, and some of it belongs probably cut out completely. This isn't like to write things that end up not making it into the book is in no way failure. It's all information and it's all a part of the process. I think we do live in a very, they used to call it like a microwave society, but I think it's turned into something else where on the one hand, we're seeing a lot of like raw and messy content on social media, and it's like we want the unfiltered life, but a lot of it is filtered unfilteredness. I don't even know if that makes sense, but it's like we're getting a product that feels very authentic, but oftentimes it's very curated, but it's curated into be these like small clips. And so then we sit down to write and we think that we have to write that same way. It's like, oh, well, it's got to be polished and it's got to be quick. Like sometimes we have to write messy so then we can edit into something that becomes more refined. I would say a good starting question when you're writing is not where did my story begin, but where does the reader's transformation begin? Where does the reader need to enter this story so that they care enough to continue? So in memoir, this is often the moment when something breaks or something changes or becomes undeniable. In other types of nonfiction that are not memoir, it's often the moment where the problem becomes very visible and personal. In faith-driven books, it's often the moment of conviction or calling, and this really becomes the doorway into whatever else you're going to be sharing. And when you open the door or when you create this doorway, readers really tend to lean in. So when you open too early, readers lean back. Like there's something that where they're not quite connecting with your story, not because it isn't good, but because the door was too far from the action or from the transformation or from the change. And so if you are at the beginning of writing and you're stuck on your first chapter, I want to give you a simple exercise. Instead of writing about what happened first, write about the moment that everything changed. Write the tension scene, write the moment of awakening or awareness, write the breaking point, and don't polish it, just capture it. Because when you capture this and then set it aside and work on some other content, but this might be your true beginning. So inside of StoryUp here on this little corner of the internet and inside my author coaching work, we actually spend a lot of time finding the right doorway into your story, because once that's clear, everything else can tend to flow better. So if you're working on a book and you're kind of stuck at the start and you're unsure where to start, and you'd like to talk about it, I'd love for you to book a consult below. You can find our link where information lives below this video. You can also visit us at fullcirclepress.org, and any of the book a call buttons goes directly to our calendar so that we can get this conversation started. I would love to help you find your first real chapter of your book. And until next time, I pray that whatever you do today or whenever you are seeing this video, I pray that it's impactful to others and also to yourselves, and that you're able to live life with purpose. I think it really matters that every single day we're doing things that not only fill us up into overflow, but also allow us to serve others. And so until next time, my name is Marina. This is the StoryUp conversation, and I am grateful that you are here.